to the Joe Show. I'm your host, Joseph Decker. It's been about 2 weeks since our last show. You know, this offseason, it can be different, man. Some people, a lot of us struggle to get some content out, you know, with no basketball going on right now. It can be a little slow, but we've had a lot of guys receiving offers, guys receiving interest, big time camps around the state going on. Guys like Josh Lindsey, Jordan Mitchell attending camps in North Carolina doing the CP3 camp. We have players getting offers. So, you know, it's never really over for the player. You know, your guys are always getting attention. Things are always happening for them. So on our end, it's a little slow. But I'm ready to get the show back going, get some more episodes out so we can provide some content for you all. Today, we have a really good show in the works. I'm excited to tell you all about it and us introduce our guests soon. But like I said, again, appreciate everybody tuning into the show. It's been on me a little bit, you know, been a little lazy, been a little slow, but going out to some football games. You know, I don't really cover much football, but it's always fun to go to Kentucky high school football games because while basketball, yes, is obviously my favorite and it does so well with the content, but the football guys deserve some love too. And there's some phenomenal athletes in the state, multiple high major kids from all classes, great college students who will have a lot of success wherever they go play in the future. So sometimes you got to go out and check them out. One of my local third region guys in Jamel Carruthers and Owensboro Catholic look really good right now. They're coming off a huge win against Bowling Green at Bowling Green. So I wanted to give him a little bit of a plug and just big respect to all those football players out there. Hope you guys have a great, blessed season. Stay healthy. That's the big thing. We got a lot of dual sport athletes and then so many camps and events happen after the season. I want to make sure everybody's able to make it out to those events and kind of spread your name and get recruited because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Get yourself a college education, chance to play as an athlete, and who knows, you never know what goes on from there. There's a world of possibilities. But with it being our newest show, let's talk about our sponsors a little bit. I want to shout out Barron Family Farms. That is our very, very close friend. Was getting this worked up. Sorry, just had to make sure the shows, everything was streaming on Twitter. Looks like we should be good to go. Yeah, we are. Perfect. That's our great friend Brad Barron from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Brad's a phenomenal man. Brad's been sponsoring the show for a long time now. They're located more toward the 4th region down here by myself in Bowling Green, Kentucky. He's a farmer, and, you know, you always got to pair up all the guys that we have in the state. So many people doing different jobs, doing different types of careers, so we can provide and help each other out. Brad sent me a little bit of a little message that I can talk to you guys about so we can talk about everything that he does at his business and what makes them guys special. Like I said, he's been a long-time show sponsor of us, so I like to have him a part of everything. They do registered South Pole and Hereford cattle. We sell grass-fed beef, square and round baled hay, and tractor parts. A good phone number to get a hold of Brad is 270-303-8673. Once again, 270-303-8673. Like I said, they are based more in northern Warren County, near Butler County, Evanston County, in the 4th region. So make sure you guys check them out. I know we got a lot of people in that kind of area and landscape of the show who watch. So make sure to contact them and do your business with Brad and his family. Circle Auto Salvage is based in Big Clifty, Kentucky. They're one of the top auto salvage places to go in the state of Kentucky. They sell used cars, used parts. They have great opportunities, good prices, phenomenal spot. Make sure you follow Circle S, Auto Salvage on social media. They're on Facebook where you can go there. You can get the phone number to contact them, their location, everything. Everything is listed on their Facebook is what makes it special. Go in and see Daniel or Jeremy for all your auto salvage needs. Like I said, again, they're based in Big Clifty, Kentucky. They're an auto salvage yard specializing in quality used and aftermarket parts. So make sure to check them out. Next up is H&W Dukes. They've been with us now for about the last 2 to 3 months. That's our good friend Sean Horde, also joined by Chris Gooden and Josh Case, 3 of our other really good friends over here at the Joe Show. I appreciate them for sponsoring. They're a top 10 Adidas distributor in the world in the United States of America. They do phenomenal work. They provide for a lot of the teams around the state of Kentucky. They do a lot of great work helping out the college athletes, helping out the high school athletes. They help everybody in the surrounding area. They have locations in Madisonville, Bowling Green, and their main is in the Campbellsville in Kentucky. So big thanks to them. Grayville Funeral Home and Roy Grayville Funeral Home, Roy Grayville. He has been a longtime supporter of the show, one of our very first sponsors. He's a WKU super fan. He loves sports from all genres. He's a very, very big sports fan. He's a great person. I always say when you're in that time of need, when you're in a situation like a funeral, a death in the family, you always want to work with somebody who's easy to work with, compassionate, cares for you, and willing to help you have the best things, that best outcome in that situation. And that's something that Mr. Roy Grayville does perfectly. Located in Brownsville, Kentucky, when you exit the Brownsville Bridge down here in the 3rd region. Make sure you guys show them some love and support them. They do a great job. And Roy, I know he's really enjoying seeing WKU football right now as they're 2-0. I know he's really happy about that. Major League Movers, one of our newest podcast sponsors, and it's my friend Chaz Wilson, who is a Evanston County. Talking about the third region a little more. He's in Evanston County. He's got to be near the Hall of Fame, man, when we're talking sports, especially dual sport athletes. Great baseball player, great basketball player. He's a great guy with what he does with Major League Movers. They do a lot of really good work, and they help out a lot of people in times of need, and that's what I really respect about them the most. They're a locally owned moving company offering a variety of moving services for you and your family. Let's get you home is their slogan. Show them some love on Facebook and social media at Major League Movers. They've been doing a lot of great work. They got a great team, and they're one of my favorite sponsors we got to have because the way they incorporate sports, his sports background, and just how they like to help people here in the area. So show some love to Major League Movers. Make sure you're following them on social media and contact them soon. We've actually added a new sponsor to the list. We're getting his logo up on there soon, and we're going to have everything worked out. That's my great friend Corey Colberth. He's going to be sending us the artwork soon to get it put on here, so I'm excited to have Corey. Corey's an insurance agent with Kentucky Farm Bureau, but now he's located in Clinton County instead of Brownsville and Evanston County, where it was formerly located. So all of our friends out in Albany, Kentucky, I know they had a great basketball team last year, Cannon Young. They're one of the top teams in the fourth region. So anybody down there in Clinton County, Albany, Kentucky, needs some help with insurance. He covers everything, homing, cars, auto, everything. So if you're in help, if you need an insurance agent, Corey Colberth is the guy. I can confidently say that. He's a great person to team up with and have by your side. So big thanks to all of our sponsors. We have our behind the scene guys and Ronald Scott Lindsay and several other donators who make this show possible and make everything run so smoothly. Like I said, it's not possible without our sponsors to do the traveling and also do the show. So big appreciations to them. Today's show is going to be a good one. I'm excited to be joined by my two good friends, Courtney Ogletree and James Alexander, head coach of WVD Du Bois. We talked to Coach Alexander before in the past. He's actually been doing a little podcast recently with another former host and another former podcast team up that I had with Miguel Coleman, Coach Miguel. He was a great guest to have on. He was really fun. And Coach James was also really fun to have on the show. So I'm excited to welcome our guests on here in a second. Make sure to share today's show. There's going to be a lot of awareness, a lot of talk. Really want to get you guys familiar with SMA. I want Miss Courtney to talk all about the event they are hosting on September 13th, which is coming up in less than 2 weeks. So we'd like to get you there. We'd like to give some awareness so we can get everybody out there. There's going to be some good basketball players in attendance. There's going to be some good basketball, but you're also hooping for a great cause. So let's get our guest onto the show, Miss Courtney and Coach James. Let's welcome them onto the show. Miss Courtney and James, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm really excited to have you on today. I think today's going to be a great show. Like I said, I'm kind of taking the back role today. I want you guys to act like you all are the hosts, talk about everything, kind of cover the show today. So, Miss Courtney, kind of tell us about SMA. Share Samuel's story with us, please, and how you guys have kind of came across what you guys are doing now.
Okay, so just as a background story about SMA, our son Samuel Lewis Nelson Jr. was born on September 12th, 2017. A normal, regular, full-term pregnancy with no complications, no issues at all. No issues even after birth until he was about 5.5 months of age, and he had a respiratory infection that he wasn't kicking it. So routine doctor visit to the pediatrician, and at that time, the pediatrician who saw him was covering for our regular pediatrician who was on maternity leave, and he noticed that he was a little bit low muscle tone, and he wasn't moving as much as he expected. So he said, "You know what?" He said, "I'm noticing he's a little low tone, but nothing's red alert to me. Come back in a couple weeks if he's still dealing with the respiratory infection, and we'll go from there." So about 2 weeks later, we had a follow-up appointment. He still was dealing with the after effects of his virus, his respiratory infection. And so at that time, the pediatrician was like, "I'm going to put a referral in for first steps for early intervention therapy services, and I'm also going to put in a consult with neurology, because whenever I do a first steps consultation, I always do a consultation to pediatric neurology." And at that time, I said, "Should we be overly concerned? Are you noticing anything that seems severe or crucial?" And he said, "No." He said, "I honestly just think he's a little delayed, but nothing that some work won't help." So at that time, it was hard to get into the neurology office And so we actually had to wait about 6 weeks from that appointment request to get in. And in that 6-week period, Samuel really, he was declining. He quit moving altogether. And we knew that something was really wrong. We just didn't know what was going on. And so at the beginning of May, Samuel was about 7.5 months of age then. We took him in for his neuro consult, and immediately the doctors were very, very concerned. And they came to us, they took video, and they said, we're extremely concerned with what we're seeing, and we think that we need to do some blood tests to figure out, what exactly is going on. And they said, don't get yourself worried, sick, or anything like that, but there are some steps that we need to take, and we need to take them quickly based on what we're seeing. So the next day, Samuel had blood drawn, and within 3 days, we were getting a call with diagnosis of spinal muscular atrophy type 1. At the time, we had no clue what that was. We didn't know what it meant. We had never heard about it. No one in our family had ever dealt with it. It's a rare genetic disease. You have to have two parents that are carriers that have a child to have a diagnosis, and there's 25% chance that two carriers can have a child with SMA. Sam and I both have other children ill. I had with my first husband, and Sam had his daughter Raina in a previous relationship. Both of our other children do not have SMA. So it was gut wrenching, to be honest with you, because we were just caught off guard. We had no idea. But it was imperative that Samuel be diagnosed quickly, because Samuel was born in September of 2017. In December of 2016, so about 9 months prior to when Samuel was born, the first ever medication for this disease was approved by FDA. And that was a big deal, because before that, there was nothing to treat this disease, and was the leading cause of death for babies 2 years of age and younger. And so the fact that there was actually then a medication to treat the disease was huge, that was accessible and available to Samuel and any other child diagnosed. The problem was that since he wasn't diagnosed until he was 7.5 months of age, there was already atrophy of the muscles. Because, just to go back a little bit, spinal muscular atrophy affects the motor neurons, which are the nerves that feed the muscle. So an SMN protein that's in the SMN1 gene is not there, which means that the muscles begin to atrophy. And as soon as a motor neuron dies, which happens when there's no SMN protein, then you can't get that motor neuron back. And so as the motor neurons die, then your muscles atrophy. And pretty much everything in our body is run by a muscle, if you think about it. Your heart is a muscle, all of your swallowing, your face run by muscles, your arms, your legs, your hands, your neck, everything, including the way you breathe, how you eat, how you use the restroom, all of those things are affected if your muscles become weak. And in essence, with this disease, before the medication was available and rendered in the way that it is, there's 3 now medications available to treat this disease, which happened very quickly. After the first one was approved, got more quickly on board. But it's imperative that once diagnosis occurs, that medicine is started immediately. And in an effort to save the motor neurons and to save, the ability to have strength and to not have your body robbed of it. And Samuel was diagnosed after atrophy had begun. And so knowing that reality, treatment needed to start immediately, but he had already had such decline where we were now faced an uphill battle. Samuel immediately at diagnosis, I had to quit nursing him. I could no longer feed him by mouth. He had to have a G tube put in and start being fed through G tube. He, thank God, had very strong lungs, so he didn't have to have a a tracheotomy placed to help him breathe. But he did have to, he would sleep on a BiPAP ventilator, and that's part of the treatment protocol. He had to have percussion and suction of his airways with various treatments in that way on a daily basis. So we were blessed that we were able to get him diagnosed and treatment to be started when it was. But if we would have had the ability to have him diagnosed even sooner, the trajectory might have been different. That being said, Samuel started his treatment process right after diagnosis in May of 2018. By July, the federal RUSP committee at the federal level approved to have SMA added to the newborn screening panel in every state. But of course, the way this country works, once the federal government says it can be added to the newborn screening panel, every state has to add it themselves. Kentucky was one of the first, I think they were fourth, adding it to their newborn screening panel. But now, after a few years have passed, every state in the country screens for SMA at birth, which is huge because now, even though 1 in 15,000 babies that are born are diagnosed with SMA, now if they're not diagnosed before birth, through testing before birth, they're diagnosed at birth, and then treatment can be started, in a quick amount of time, in an effort to save the motor neurons and stop the progression of the disease. So we're very proud that Samuel helped with that effort. Even though he wasn't able to be diagnosed at birth, he played a role along with some of the other kids in the state of Kentucky by getting their blood test redone, so it would show that you can show it on the paper test that they do at birth. He participated in that to get that started, and he really helped build the awareness of why it's very important that we all understand about this disease and what it does to the body, and how destructive it can be if it's not caught, and then if it's not treated. It's comparable to many times people want to call it the ALS in children because it's very comparable to ALS disease. It's different, of course, and it affects different things, but it's very similar in the way that it destroys the body and how the body works. So that's how we came about being in the SMA community and taking a stand and really getting information out to people about it, what it does, what it's all about, and how we can help. But as I like to say, our job is not done. Samuel passed away in May of last year, May 22nd of 2024. He passed away unexpectedly. He was actually doing amazing, and we were very excited about how the future was looking. Samuel had gone through some really hard times. Before that, he had dealt with some health complications that were confusing and were causing us to do a lot of testing and various things. And he had gone through some hard times. But when he passed away last May, he was actually rebounding very well. He had come through 2 surgeries in 3 months to get his rods placed for his scoliosis. He had his hips done, and he was just doing amazing. And for some odd reason, we lost him on a beautiful Tuesday in May. And it was crazy because right before Samuel passed away, I had been talking with a few of his medical specialists, Kenneth Walker, who is his spine surgeon up here at Norton Orthopedics in Louisville. I had talked with him. I had been talking with Coach Alexander about hosting a basketball tournament because Samuel loved to be in the gym watching his big brother and all of his other brothers play basketball. Even if he was suffering or having a bad day or not feeling well, anytime we were in the gym or we were with the boys watching them play ball, Samuel was peaceful, he was calm, he was happy, and he just loved to be in that environment. I told everybody, people used to be like, when he was really young, they'd be like, is Samuel ever scared about how loud you yell in the gym? Because I'm known for being that type of mom. I'm that type of mom. I cheer loud and I'm very passionate. And I said, no, because he's been in the gym since he was in the womb. Like, he's heard me yelling before he was born. He's used to me yelling in the gym. And so he was at home watching his brother and the guys play ball. And I had been talking to Coach Alexander and Dr. Walker about hosting a basketball tournament as a way for our family to fundraise for Cure SMA, which is the organization based out of Chicago, outside of Chicago, Illinois, that supports all the families in the SMA community. They also drive funding for research and drug development. They support us at the federal level with different advocacy projects. They do so much for our community and the families in the SMA community that I had said, is there any way, do you think you guys, we could work together where we could host a basketball tournament and we could raise money for Cure SMA, and it would be like, it would be something that because it would be two parts of Samuel's life, basketball in the gym where he loved, and then the SMA community that supports him on his journey and everything that he's been through. And so we had started the talk in like March of last year, and it was going great, and we were planning it, and everything was going together. And then Samuel passed away at the end of May, and it was like, for a second, everyone just stopped. Of course, at that time, you're going through grief, you're going through the services and planning the services and everything like that. It was the end of the school year. Everything was happening at the same time. And I remember we were at Samuel's visitation, and Dr. Walker walked up to me, of course, sharing his heartbreak and his condolences from him and his family. And he said, you think we're still going to have the basketball tournament? And immediately I said, yes, we have to, because he would have loved it. And we were excited about it. And it's something that we can do that continues to share something about him, but also shares what he loved to be around, be in the gym with the guys and watching basketball and hanging out. And I said, we're going to, we're going to have to do this right around Samuel's birthday, because I already know that when his birthday rolls around in September, if we don't have something positive to plan and be engaged with and to highlight Samuel and talk about Samuel and talk about all the kids, all the warriors in this community and all the families in this community, that I'm not going to, I probably won't even get out of bed. I won't want to function, And so last year we did. We planned it in 6 weeks, and we had our first 3-on-3 basketball tournament on, September, last year, the 14th. It was September 14th last year, because Samuel's birthday was on the 12th on Thursday, and then we had it on Saturday the 14th. And it was fantastic, and, we were just glad that we were able to make it happen. We planned it in 6 weeks, and we're like, just think how much this can grow and how we can change things and how we can add to it and how we can make it bigger and better every year, because it's Samuel's legacy, and it's also a fabulous way to fundraise for an amazing organization that deserves all the support and all the funding that we can generate for it, So that's kind of how it started, how the 3-on-3 basketball tournament started, and how it came together last year and why it came together. But I'm gonna Coach to add something if he feels like it, but that's kind of how it kind of came about.
Coach, if you have anything you want to add on, we'd like to hear you. And then Courtney, I have a few more questions for you. But Coach, if you have anything to say, go right ahead.
Now, mine is just really, like she said, Samuel's a part of the family. Our guys, we actually did Samuel, his Miracle in Action. We had our shooting church last year. Got a chance to tell all the guys in the program at the boys from 6th grade all the way up about SMA, about Samuel, about his life, and why we wore those shirts. So that was important. We always got a chance to see him at all the games. And I think it was a huge support factor of our guys in our school that wanted to support not just Samuel, not just Courtney, but also Kel, because, he's on our program. So the same way that they feel and they know their brothers, they wanted to make sure they're supporting all of their brothers as well. So I was excited when Courtney brought it to me about getting an opportunity to help with the 3-on-3. And it's really been huge with trying to make it bigger and better. That's been the most important thing. I told her we want to get it to the point where it's as big as like Jimmy V Foundation and the cancer research, but starting it at Louisville, getting to the point where we will expand it to not just 3-on-3, but like 5-on-5 high school games and different things like that to continue to increase awareness.
I want to ask you this question, Miss Courtney. You spoke a little bit about, places in Chicago and other type organizations that spread awareness to SMA. For those watching and those might want to maybe show support, learn more, get some awareness, what are some other ways, maybe social medias, maybe businesses, other things that kind of promote and spread awareness about SMA? Where can we check them out? What are some other businesses, maybe other people that you spoke to, maybe accounts you follow? What are some things that can also help us bring awareness?
The biggest way is visiting curesma.org, which is the website of Cure SMA, the organization that's based out of Bolingbrook. I think, I'm not sure. I can't remember. It's outside of Chicago is the organization that supports the SMA community, and it's actually worldwide. They're based out of Illinois, but they support any individual or any family that's been diagnosed with SMA throughout the world. And they are where if someone comes up to me, or if anyone has a question about SMA or how to get more information or how to learn about early interventions, the different medications that are available, treatment processes, things of that nature, the first place that I tell them to go is to curesma.org, because if you can't find the information that you're looking for there, you can either submit a request directly to them and they will respond very quickly, or they actually have other resources listed as well embedded in that website to help people, because one of their biggest things is they want to be able to reach as many people as possible. And so they have toolkits available. They have newly diagnosed welcome packages. You can submit your information to receive resource packages, pamphlets, all sorts of materials that you can utilize or you can have available. They also have listed on there how you can request to have your genetic screening done to see if you're a carrier for the disease, which has been huge because, like I said, you don't even know if you're a carrier because you don't display any signs or symptoms. And so they have the ability to get you in position to be screened for carrier status. They also have the different areas and different avenues that you can go to be checked, your children to have their blood tests completed and things like that. And that was vitally important before the newborn screening was available, because there was no way that you would even know you had the disease until you started to show symptoms, or if you were born with specific symptoms and they immediately checked you right after birth, that would be an option. But now that newborn screening is happening across the board in all 50 states, they're able, of course, they're diagnosing a lot more now because the screening is available, but it was still important to be able to say, okay, if you need to be screened, or if you have a loved one that needs to be screened, because in actuality, you could have what they used to say, there were various types, there was type 0, which generally you were born in respiratory distress, type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. And based on the types was how you reached your milestones, and also how many copies of the SMN2 gene that you have. So that was how they could put you in types before. And Samuel was a type 1 based on the fact that he didn't have an SMN1 gene and he had only a couple copies of SMN2. That being said, you could be an SMN or an SMA type 3 or type 4, where you would have a diagnosis later on because you wouldn't struggle early on, and then other factors would come into play later on in life. So I always say visit curesma.org immediately if you have any questions about this disease, and you should be able to find out the answers that you're looking for. And if you still have questions or need more information, on that website, you can find other resources listed and in their directory, and they can point you in the right direction as to where to go.
Miss Courtney, I have to ask you a question as a mother and being an advocator for SMA. I have to ask you this question. Seeing over the last year and the following years how much more awareness this disease and SMA is getting, and now how all states around the country are making it, like you said, early scanning. You know, it's something you guys can figure out a lot more earlier and get ahead of and maybe get a head start on. How does it feel as a former parent, and also being a really big advocator for it, seeing the national respect and all the people showing awareness? And I'm sure it has to really feel good seeing all the people around the city of Louisville come together and show you guys respect, and also providing awareness and promoting the camp. So how does it feel for you seeing all this happen?
I honestly feel like, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet because Samuel's not here to see it himself. But that being said, he definitely is front row and center, and he knows what's happening and he knows what's going on. He's a part of all of it. And I know that. He shows me in various ways all the time how he still is around and he still knows what's going on. But it is amazing to see that what was said to me right after Samuel passed, someone said to me, it must really be amazing to see the response that is generated for your family and for the cause and for the SMA community, from the love that people have had and have for your son. And Samuel may not have spoken one whole sentence in his whole life. It may not have said words clearly because it was hard for him to speak clearly with his weak muscles in his mouth and around his throat area. But they said, even though he was unable to speak long sentences or say huge, clear words, he connected to people on such a deep level. And so many people fell in love with him just by his spirit and his personality and his engagement with them. And seeing that allow all these other things to happen is really an amazing feeling for me as his mother, and for Kale and for Sam and our entire family. Because we know that even though we only had Samuel for 6.5 years, not long enough, definitely not long enough, and definitely not something that we would ever have thought would be the case. But his impact has been, enormous in those 6.5 years, and we're so proud. We really are, because we know that our job is not done. Our job in the SMA community as advocates, as fundraisers, as supporters, it does not stop until there's a cure for this devastating, dreadful disease. We won't stop until there's a cure. But we're getting there, and every year we have 3 drugs right now that treat this disease that are approved, one of them being gene therapy, which is hugely unbelievable in itself, that there's actually a gene therapy where they can, actually put a scientific gene in there, and the children are doing things and not missing milestones. And the other 2 drugs the same, if they're started immediately, motor neurons are not dead, are not dying, and the kids are able to walk and run and eat by mouth and talk and all the crazy, all the things that you want to see your child do. But our job is not done, and our job will not be done until there's a cure. And that may take, who knows how long that will take, but I know that me and all the other families, our family, all the other families that are now on this side of the journey won't stop, because even though we lost our baby boy, Kale lost his brother, Raina lost her brother, my mom and my dad, they lost their grandson. Even though we're living that broken life that we live, and there are other families who have lost their children, if we are able to continue to push on and to find a cure and to have that happen, and lives are already being saved right now, but if we can find a cure and no other child ever pass away from this disease, then we've done something, and that's where we have to put our energy now, is to continue on working for him, continue on living for him. And that's what we do. And it's very hard. I'm not going to lie. I tell people all the time, I live a broken life because every day I wake up with the reality that I don't have my youngest son, and I won't. I want to live this long life, and I want to see Kale and all of his friends succeed and play ball and do all these amazing things, go to college and all the experiences they're going to have. But I still have to wake up every day with the reality that I don't have one of my children, and I'll have to do that. But I'm okay with that because I continue to live. Now I'm living for him. Kale lives for his brother. He lives to highlight him and to show everybody, that you can still live a productive, full, happy, grateful life with a broken heart, because that's the reality that we face every day.
I wanted to make sure I could ask you that, Courtney, and kind of some ways, if you're just now tuning in, one of the biggest ways you talked about how you can bring awareness to the disease and people can get some information on that is www.curesma.org. It provides a lot of info on SMA and the disease and ways you can provide and show support. Miss Courtney, Coach James, let's talk about camp coming up on September 13th a little bit and the 3v3 tournament. I want you guys to talk all about the event, talk about the raffle. I know you guys mentioned in the post that the last game will be aired on social media so we can tune in and watch some good basketball games. But, tell us all about the games, events, some of the players that we know might be participating that people may know, the location of the event, and tell us a little bit about the raffle. Miss Courtney, go ahead. And then James, after she's done, I'll let you add on.
Okay. So I've told everybody that we just don't, throw something together and say, oh, it's just for fun. I'm very competitive. If you don't know me, but everyone who knows me knows I'm very competitive. And when we started talking about the 3-on-3 tournament, I said, we have the Dirt Bowl that plays here in Louisville every summer. We have highly skilled basketball players, high school age and up. They should be playing in our basketball tournament. I want the ball to be serious, and I want it to be taken seriously. And I want people to come watch and be interested in seeing great basketball. That's what first and foremost. And so we started promoting it like that. And I said, of course, right now we have to have high school and up because adults are playing. And of course, the younger kids, it's not their time, but it's going to be. And I keep telling them, I promise you, it's going to be. We're getting ready to have 2 gyms available, and we're going to have a youth tournament and a high school and adult tournament. Your time is coming. But right now, the 3-on-3 tournament is for high school age and up. And of course, I like to say, hey, Kale's got a team, Kale and Jirai and Ferlandis and Tristan Summers. They played last year together, and they gave it their all. But of course, some of the older guys came in and shut that down kind of quick. But they did great, and they're playing again this year. And then we have some other teams from here locally. Some of the Dirt Bowl teams are like signing up, and I'm so super excited about it, and they're energized about it. And so we're still looking for more teams. We currently, I think right now, when I just looked at the registration form, I think we have 6 or 7 teams signed up, which I'm not surprised about that because everyone always wants to wait till the last minute to register their teams. And I'm like, we need to sign up teams. But our goal was 20 teams because this year, unlike last year, we will have 2 brackets. So there's a guarantee that you're going to play in at least 2 games. If you continue to win, then you'll play throughout the bracket with a chance to play in the championship of the Lewis or the championship of the Samuel bracket, depending on what side of the bracket that you're on. So still looking for teams. We have a flyer with the QR code. You just have to scan the QR code and register. The registration fee is $125. That goes to Cure SMA as part of our fundraising effort for the organization. Our overall goal was to raise $5,000 for the organization this year. Last year we raised 2,000. So I said, you know what, each year I'm going to boost up our goal, and hopefully we continue to keep raising the bar. That being said, after last year's tournament, the younger boys were like, Miss Ogletree, why didn't we get to play in the basketball tournament? They were watching the video, they were seeing IG footage, they were seeing how cool it was, and they were like, why can't we play? And I said, you guys, we just can't have the younger kids play. We don't have the capacity yet to have the younger kids play. So that's why this year we decided to go with a youth skills camp from 8:30 until about 9:50 before the 3-on-3 tournament starts, which will give younger kids from kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade the ability to come in. The younger kids will work on skill work and fundamentals, dribbling, some layups, free throws, that type, ball handling stuff. They'll be working with Coach Alexander and a few of the other skilled trainers in the community to do some skill work. But the middle school kids will get to form their own 3-on-3 teams and have their own little 3-on-3 tournament on the other half of the court. And that I told them, I said, does that make it a little bit better, that you'll get to have your own little 3-on-3 tournament and be able to play against each other. And the high school boys will then help refereeing and doing that interaction with them on the other side of the court. So I felt like that was the best way to kind of gather everybody together, where we had all ages represented. They still had an opportunity to participate, to learn about Cure SMA, to learn about Samuel Story and all of our other warriors here in the state of Kentucky. Our SMA families, some of them are able to come and attend and be a part of the festivities. And it's just been a wonderful way to bring everybody together, but also tie in Samuel's love for basketball and watching brother and the boys play. And that's kind of how we went about it. To register for the Youth Skills Camp, there's also a specific flyer with the QR code. It's $25. You get a t-shirt and some gifts to attend and work and come for the basketball camp. And then we advise to stay and watch great 3-on-3 basketball tournament play as well.
Perfect. And if you guys are interested in those flyers, I'll share it again after the show. I'll share it on my social medias. But I believe the camp one is a light blue color to share. And it's also located on Miss Courtney's pages, and Mr. Coach James has shared it. So I'm really excited for this event. Miss Courtney and Coach James kind of tell us how you'll be playing a little bit of a role. I heard you'll be helping out with the camp a little bit, she said. So kind of tell us about the role you'll be playing this, Coach James, and how you're happy to have your guys and your players involved and putting on for such a great cause, but also competing at this.
So my role, are you guys able? I'm sorry. So my role within the camp is just really just the organization, making sure putting the bracket together, giving guys opportunity to get a warm-up game in, and then we will seed those guys, and then from there, just making sure it's flowing. Also doing the raffles in between. A lot of people had fun because we had raffles and different giveaways. So I was putting them through skills, things that they could win to get gift cards and different things like that. So it got really competitive because people wanted to win those. And really, I'm actually going to be in the team as well. So got a chance with a couple former players of mine when I coached them at J-Town. Got a chance to play. So participating and also help trying to make the transition as smooth as possible. I really love the fact that our guys are participating in it, giving them an opportunity to understand that it's bigger than basketball, and then how you can also utilize the game of basketball to change the world. Opportunity. So while we're playing, we're actually raising that money. Miss Courtney made a point talking about the $125, letting guys know that, that's a competitive, fee. When you have 5 people come in, we got help to try to find donations. We just want to get to that 20 team number, which is very important. That's why we're happy that you allowed us to utilize your platform, because we would love people from, the Ohio, Indiana, and the rest of Kentucky State to come in from one great weekend, come together, and then have those bragging rights. We have a great trophy. Usually the trophy was about, 5 feet tall, something like that. Courtney, is a nice size trophy that guys are flaunting around, and they were happy. We'll put a 30-second timer on, so people are not stalling the basketball to try to keep it flowing. So those things. And then we also, what I love about it is we have a 4-point shot now, so similar to like the Big Three, where guys have spots on the floor where you can showcase your range and get a 4-point shot on that end. So I think those things are exciting. And then it's all the big picture is that we're raising that money for SMA.
Coach, you mentioned your plan, and I immediately had the vision of Coach James versus Jeriah, a little father-son matchup going on. If that matchup happens, Coach, who's winning that one? I want you to be honest. Jeriah's been killing it recently, man. I want you to be honest, but, you mentioned, you're going to be playing. Who wins that matchup, Coach?
Oh, well, still me to this point. Like I said, last time we played, I beat him 2-1. So
Okay.
I'm not going to be running around and chasing them. I may have somebody else do all that.
Yeah.
But if we're just playing one-on-one, I'm always going to be confident.
Yeah.
I won the last matchup, so I'm going to stay. I don't know if I'm still going to play him in the future, but I won the last one. So live with that.
Jeriah, if Jeriah's tuning in, I'm sure he's either rolling his eyes or shaking his head right now. So
Right.
I had to ask you that, Coach. Miss Courtney, Coach James, I've really enjoyed having you guys on tonight. But before we get off here, I want you guys to have another 5 to 10 minutes to kind of recap some of the things you've talked about today. Miss Courtney, share a little more info about the camp again, just kind of run through everything in case some people are tuning in now. But I would really appreciate having you guys on and, go ahead and give us a little bit of an outro here and talk about some final things.
Okay, I would like to first and foremost highlight some of our major sponsors so far. Of course, we are still collecting sponsorships. So if you're interested in supporting our event and supporting this worthy cause, don't hesitate to reach out to me on social media. Joseph, I've shared all of my contacts, so if you could push that out as well. But we have Norton Children's Hospital, Norton Orthopedics supporting us. We have the D'Angelo Russell Foundation supporting us. Salsaritas. I wish I would have printed off everybody's levels. We have a handful of sponsors, but those are our major sponsors. And I'm just so very grateful that we have been able to get support on all levels from family, friends, from local organizations, from small businesses who know our family or know the basketball community here in Louisville, or just want to support a worthy cause such as Samuel's Miracle in Action and Cure SMA. It means so much to us that people are willing to give money to support us on this endeavor and understand that it is a passion project for us, because we do it as part of Samuel's story and his legacy, but it also is for such an amazing organization that deserves all the fundraising that's available to them through the communities in which all the families live. That being said, our event, once again, is on Saturday, September 13th, the day after Samuel's birthday. It would have been his 8th birthday, at WEB Du Bois Academy, 3307 Indian Trail. This will be our last year there, and then we're moving down the street and around the corner to our new campus. But that's where it will be at. Yeah, we're so excited about that. It starts, Youth Skills Camp registration starts at 8 a.m. with camp starting at 8:30. Camp will run till about 9:50-ish, and we will hand out medals and do recognition. And then our welcome ceremony for the 3-on-3 tournament starts at 10 a.m., where we have where we will talk about Cure SMA, the organization. We will talk about Samuel's story. We will introduce individuals that are there representing the SMA community, and kind of give a little bit of a celebration. Of course, this event is emceed by Mr. Bikey, our wonderful comedian, and we have a DJ, and so he'll be doing all of the emceeing, and our DJ will be rolling with the beats and the tunes. And then first tip for the first 2 games will start at 10:30. Coach, you want to add anything?
Just really, guys, come compete. Let's get signed up so we can start organizing the bracket. Bring your trash talk, keep it fun, but understand Sam was rooting for us from heaven, and then seeing that we're building up something fun and family oriented. We're now changing some things up so that people can stay around longer. Last year we had it where it was 1 game, and then when you lost, you were out. So we want to find a way to keep everybody there so we can continue to have fun and celebrate while we're raising money for SMA.
Really appreciate you all coming on tonight and making this possible. I'm glad we were able to spread awareness and also highlight your all's event. I think it's going to be great. Everybody continue to share, sign up for the event, sign up for the camp. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but more importantly, you're doing it for a great cause. Miss Courtney, Coach James, I really appreciate you guys coming on. Guys, make sure to check out Coach James. I'm going to let you talk about it. Make sure to check out. We got two of the best coaches in Louisville now pairing up for a podcast. It's a really good listen. I enjoy it. I think you guys are all the way up to, I think you guys just finished episode 5, I believe. So going on to episode 6 soon. Coach James, plug your guys' podcast a little bit and what you guys are doing, and show Coach Coleman some love, because I know he's probably tuning in.
Yeah, so McQuell Coleman and I, so the head coach at DuPont Manual, and then me being the head coach, we're our cousins, and a lot of people don't know. So we compete a lot on the basketball court. Our sons competed last year. Now that Malachi Coleman's in college, so we're real competitive parents and also coaches. So we've been around for a long time. Our podcast is called Oddcast Podcast. You can see it on. We just did our first episode on Twitch. Excited for that. Trying to learn this technology thing. We're on YouTube. So Odd Pod 502. We just recorded episode 6 today, so it should be out on Wednesday. We put 1 through 5 out because we had so much material just out, and was like, man, let's just do it. Have fun. Let's put it out. So episode 6 will be out on Wednesday.
Awesome.
Anytime you got a chance, they're between about 30 minutes to 45 minutes or whatever sports, talking about our odd takes of the day, giving great banter and basketball knowledge, sports knowledge in general, and just having fun with it, enjoying talking sports.
Make sure you guys check that out. Oddcast Podcast on all socials. Coach James, I appreciate you coming on. And Miss Ogletree, I appreciate you coming on. We'll be sure to keep sharing things on social media, and we hope to see you all there. Thank you guys for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Of course. See you guys later. See you, Coach James, man. I appreciate Miss Ogletree and Coach James Alexander for coming on the show tonight to spread awareness about SMA and their event. They are hosting the 3v3 tournament, but also the camp that will be at Du Bois High School and playing there. All the information on how to sign up for the camp, how to sponsor, how to register, how to be a part of everything going on is located on Miss Ogletree's page, Courtney Bannon, and then in parentheses, Courtney Ogletree on Facebook. Make sure you guys follow her and friend her so you guys can see all the information. I'm pretty sure the raffle on the 3v3 hooping for a cause, there's an orange graphic, there's a light blue graphic, and then there's a pink one. I think that's a full page. So you guys will see that located on her page so you guys can sign up. There's QR codes to make it possible. You guys can register. All the game details will be listed below. Some of the top names in the state of Kentucky: Kel Ogletree, Dry Brown, Ferlandez Wright, Tristan Lowry. A lot of talent will be in the building for this event, so I'm really excited to see it. They're shooting for 20 teams. They have over 7 teams now, so just a few more teams and they can really make this thing really, really booming. I know you guys can do it. I know you guys can support them. So let's make that happen for Samuel's Miracle in Action. They're hooping for a cure, and there's a lot of information more. Make sure to check out www.curesma.org so you can figure out even more. Big shout out to Coach James and Du Bois and the Lions for making this possible as well, helping out Miss Ogletree and everybody involved. So there's going to be 4-point shots. I know the guys like to shoot it from 3. There's going to be half times. There's going to be people performing. There's going to be videographers. There's going to be everything in the build. So September 13th, you guys go to Samuel's Miracle in Action, Hooping for a Cure, the camp, and the 3v3 event. Maybe win you some money as well with the raffle. So the registration is open. It's been open for about a week and a half now, week 2. I think she posted on August 23rd. So make sure you guys show them some support and some love. Appreciate everybody tuning in today to the show. We'll get another show out soon. Talk to a few guys I'd like to come have on the show soon before we get done with the off season. We're about to be in September, actually just tomorrow. So not too much longer until late November, early December. So appreciate everybody for tuning into the show today. I'm your host, Joseph Decker with the Joe Show. Thank you to our sponsors for making it possible. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Tune in again possibly this week, maybe next week. We'll definitely be back on live next weekend, next Sunday night. So appreciate everybody for tuning in and making today's show possible. You guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your Labor Day, and God bless you all. Thank you.